Welcome to PHT in the Morning with your host, Pastor David Miller from the Pentecostal Holiness Tabernacle in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of PHT in the Morning with Pastor David Miller. I'm Pastor Miller, so I'll be your host this morning. And I was just going to ask some of you out there that's listening to this podcast that's ever been through any great trials of your faith, and some situations that you've been in, maybe that's you've wondered what good can come of this, and maybe some real fiery trials, and maybe you think, I just don't know what good could come out of this. But what I want to talk to you about here this morning is I want to talk to you about growing through what you go through. So grow through what you go through. So some of the things we go through in our life can actually cause us to grow or to get better. And it doesn't always have to stunt our growth. The things we go through doesn't always have to cause us to take a step backwards or move backwards. But we can actually use those great trials, fiery trials, tests, temptations to actually increase our faith. And actually we can use them for our good. And there is a scripture here that I'm going to ask my daughter, if Melissa Cornett, if she'll read for us. So tell them where that is, Missy, and read that verse.
1 Peter chapter 4, verse 12. Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you.
So the Bible's telling us here not to think it's strange. Don't think it's something out of the ordinary or odd or strange. When you go through these fiery trials, tests, or storms in your life, and I know we all do. I've went through many great tests in my life, great trials in my life, and there's been times I have really wondered what good can come out of this, and thought about that. You know, I don't understand how anything positive could come out of it, but yet when that trial was over, when that test was over, then I could look back and see where God actually made me stronger because of that trial that I had faced. I'm sure you've heard probably people say this before. They'll say, if you can take the pull, God will pull you through it. And that's kind of what I'm trying to talk about today. So I'm not here to tell you that you'll never go through great temptations, heartaches, or difficult days. I'm only going to tell you this, that you can grow through it if you go through it. And early on in my ministry, and I was talking about this with my daughter, who you just heard speak a few moments ago. I was telling her about when she was just a small girl. Matter of fact, she had her first birthday in the hospital. She'd been in the hospital for about 6 weeks. Me and my wife was in revival down in Norton, Virginia, and we'd preached through that part of Kentucky also. And my daughter got very, very sick. And I think I mentioned this on a previous podcast, but I want to just show you here how personally how God made us stronger. And my daughter got so sick that her temperature actually was like 105 degrees or more every single day. And they told me she had 4 major diseases. She had typhoid fever, and she had Rocky Mountain spotted fever. She had low-grade tuberculosis, and she had leukemia. Now, her mom never left her side at the hospital for those whole 6 weeks. But I had went back and forth and was preaching the revival. Then I would stay several hours there with my wife in the hospital, and I would go back and rest a little bit and get ready for the next night. That was probably one of the greatest trials of mine and her mother's life, to face something like that. I can remember so vividly, and I would think, now how can anything good come out of this? How could, the Bible said all things work together for good to them that love the Lord and are the called according to his purpose. So my thought was, how can anything good come out of this? And yet that's what the Bible said. But after those 6 weeks, one day in prayer, the Lord spoke to me and told me, if you'll take her out of the hospital today, I will heal your daughter. And of course, I believed God. I trusted God. It was one of the greatest trials of my life. But I went to the hospital, signed her out of the hospital. My wife was very hesitant, nervous, because this was a big decision, a big move. And we took her out of the hospital, and we made that long trip from Norton, Virginia to West Harrison, Indiana, where I lived. By the time we had got home, we had checked her temperature just every few minutes, and her temperature never got above 99.2. Took her back to the hospital at home, had her checked out, and they could find none of those sicknesses or illnesses at all. So that was a great trial. But through that trial, God gave us peace, confidence, and the courage to trust him and believe him for healing of my daughter. And God gloriously did heal her. Now, my daughter's in her 40s now, and you just heard her read that scripture to you. So that was a great trial in my life. At the time, I just didn't feel like I was going to make it through it. But we're talking to you once again about if you can just get through it, and then God will help you to grow whatever you can get through. So thank God for that. I believe my faith increased. I believe that I was able to grow in the Lord through that test or that trial. So I'm sure many of you are listening to me this morning or whenever you listen to the podcast, and it may be something quite a bit different for you. I don't know what you might be going through. I don't know what you might be facing this morning or today, but I do know this, that you can grow through what you can go through. God is able to bring you through every test and every trial, and not just that, but help you to grow because of that test and that trial. So look up this morning. Believe God, trust God, because God can help you to get through whatever it is you're facing. Now, whatever day you're listening to this throughout the week, it could be the middle of the week. You might be listening to this on a Sunday or a Monday. But whatever day you're listening to this, and whatever the week has in store for you, whatever you face this next coming days or coming weeks, you can get through it. And you can grow through what you can go through. I know this has been a shorter, limited podcast, but nonetheless, we've enjoyed being with you here on PHT in the Morning. So this is Pastor Miller, and I'm praying for you, and I'm asking God to help you to grow through what you go through. God bless you. Have a great rest of your day.